Dear students, welcome to lecture 9 in distributed systems. So in this lecture you will be able to know about the remote procedure call, what is meant by a remote procedure call and what is meant by RPC model, the transparency of RPC and its implementation. Before going to this today's topic, in the previous lecture we have covered about the message passing model. I hope you all watched the previous lectures and you are able to know the IPC mechanism, that is inter-process communication mechanism we follow is message passing model in distributed systems. And we also covered the topics of synchronization and buffering. Now coming to today's topic, the topic is introduction to remote procedure call. So here if you look at the word remote, you all know that remote is not in the same location, which is away from the current location is called as remote, which is not here is called as remote. Means we cannot access it physically. That system or that address is called as, that computer is called as remote computer. Next, coming to the word procedure, you all know that generally a procedure is a set of some coded instructions which tells a computer how to run a program or a calculation. So we all know the set of procedures are subroutines in which the instructions are executed and that program or particular calculations are executed. For example, in C language we will have some subroutines. All those subroutines, standard subroutines will be made as a header file. All the subroutines will be executed when we are executing our C program. Like that, a procedure is a set of coded instructions, means lines of instructions will be there, some 10 or 15, it is not limited, but as an example I am saying a set of instructions will be there. Those instructions will tell the computer how to run the program or how to do a calculation. It is nothing but repeated routines, repeated instructions will also be stored as part of subroutine. Call means you all know. So we are going to call a procedure which is not in the same location, is nothing but remote procedure call. So as part of IPC, we have discussed the message passing model. For what IPC is required? The inter-process communication is required in order to communicate between the two processes. So for that communication, one of the model is message passing model. So this one is not at all a message passing model, is independently developed IPC protocol, and it is not a particular standard solution to build a variety of distributed applications. Okay, message passing model is okay up to some applications, but when you are developing a specific model specific to only one application, then it is not at all a standard or a foundation for different variety of distributed applications. So there is a need of IPC protocol such that we can use it for designing several distributed applications. Okay, message passing model is not suitable to all the applications on a distributed computing system. So independently developed IPC protocol using message passing model will not act as a foundation for different variety of distributed applications. So a new technology, IPC technique has invented, that is remote procedure call facility. So it is nothing but an IPC technique. RPC is nothing but an inter-process communication technique. However, this is also not a universal solution for all the types of distributed applications, but most of the applications can use the RPC facility. It is suitable for large number of distributed applications. I hope you all understood what is the use of RPC. I am repeating again. Using IPC protocol which is developed independently is not suitable for all the types of distributed applications. So one of the technique of IPC is message passing model, in which both the process or number of process will interact with each other. RPC is also a technique of IPC in which majorly 5 components are involved. We will discuss it in next slides. So why RPC is most popular is its simple syntax. Means when we are going to use RPC, we can use it simply with a call syntax like send and receive, or like that we can simply use it via a call syntax. And most of the semantics followed in remote procedure calls are also similar to that of local procedure calls. So when we know how to call a procedure locally, then we can easily call a remote procedure call also. And the next is the specification is well defined. How to use it is well defined and it is easy to use. It's a generality, means it is common to most of the applications. In fact, it is not a single machine computations are not suitable. Its efficiency, and it can be used as an IPC mechanism to communicate between the processes on different machines as well as between different processes on the same machine. You can use in both the ways. If the procedure is not in the same location, then we will call it as processes on different machines. If the procedure are on the same machine, it is local procedure call. So it can be used for both the cases. So with all these reasons, RPC is getting popularity and it is an accepted IPC mechanism in distributed systems. IPC is nothing but inter-process communication mechanism. RPC is remote procedure call. It is one of the technique in inter-process communication mechanism. And the next topic is RPC model. We have already discussed that an RPC model is similar to procedure call model, in which the transfer of control and data within a program is performed in these steps. First of all, it is similar to the well-known and well-understood procedure call. So this procedure call model and RPC model will follow this manner. What is meant by RPC model is the program will follow these steps. So for making a procedure call, the caller places all the arguments to the procedure in some well specified location. Here also we will not share the memory. I hope you all know arguments mean. Some procedures may require the parameters. By taking those parameters, it can execute the procedure. So the first step is to call a procedure. The caller means who is calling. The procedure is caller. Caller places all the arguments of the procedure in some specified location. And the next, control is then transferred to the sequence of instructions which will frame the body of the procedure. And then the body of the procedure is executed and a new execution environment is created with the arguments. Whatever arguments we will give, it will take that arguments for that particular procedure and it executes in a new created environment. And then the fourth step is, after procedure execution is completed, the control again returns to the calling point and it also returns the result. So these are the 4 steps under RPC model. And this mechanism is an extension. We can think of it as an extension to the procedure call mechanism. Means it enables a call to be made to the procedure that does not reside in the address space of the calling process. Means it is in a different location. So the called procedure will be called as a remote procedure. Why? Because it is not in the caller's address space. So it may be on the same computer as the calling process or on a different computer. So in case of RPC, the caller and the callee process will have a different address spaces. Disjoint means different address spaces. So here they are giving us possibly on different computers. Different computers will have different address spaces. So like this, in RPC, first thing is RPC mechanism is an extension to procedure call mechanism. An RPC mechanism enables a call to a procedure that does not reside in the same location, or the called procedure may be on the same computer as the calling procedure or on the different computers. It might be in the same location or not, but still in case of RPC, both the caller and callee process will have the different address spaces. So the RPC facility uses a message passing scheme for information exchange between the caller and the callee process. You can see the typical model of remote procedure call here. So when a remote procedure call is made, the caller and callee will interact in the following manner. See here, caller is a client process who is requesting the procedure is called as caller, and who will process that request is this callee, server process. So here caller client process will call procedure and it is sending a request message which contains the procedure's parameters, nothing but the procedure's arguments of a procedure. It is sending a request message which contains the remote procedure parameters. All these remote call is going to the callee process. So the request is received and it start procedure execution with the parameters given by the caller. So here the caller process is suspended. Here see procedure will execute and the server process will send the reply and wait for the next request. So here the caller process will resume the execution and it takes the result coming from the server process and resumes means to continue, to start over the execution. So the reply message will contains the result of the procedure execution. For example, there is a procedure of some calculating multiplication of two numbers. We are giving 4 and 5. The result will get back to us as 20, like that. So this is the RPC model. I have already explained the client process sends a call message to the callee and it waits. This one is the block state. It waits for a reply message. The request message contains the remote procedures parameters. What the server process will do? The server process will execute the procedure and then returns the result of the procedure execution in the form of a reply message. So once the reply message is received, the caller's execution is resumed. It will take the result which is coming from the reply message. This is the RPC model. And the server process is normally dormant, means it is in a temporarily suspended state and it awaits for the arrival of the request message, not only from the same computer or it might be from different computer. It waits for a request message, waiting in a temporarily suspended mode. What? The server process. It always waits for a request message. When one arrives, means when one request arrives, the server process extracts the procedure parameters. It will identify the procedure with the help of procedure parameters and it computes the results. Again it sends the reply message and then again waits for the next call message. Like that, always the server process will wait for any request messages. As soon as it gets the call, it executes or extracts the procedure parameters, it computes the results and it sends a reply. Three operations are there. The server process will extract the procedure parameters, first one, computes the result, second one, third one sends a reply. So generally the RPC protocol will not have any restrictions on the concurrency model implemented, but some other models of RPC are depending on the details of the parallelism, how to run some procedures parallelly in the callers and callee environment, and the implementation of RPC is there. Okay, this one is the RPC model. So in RPC model there will be a caller process and callee process. Call procedure and wait for reply. While calling a procedure, in that time only the caller will request a message with the parameters. Receive request and start procedure execution. Procedure executes and sends the reply in the form of a reply message. Until then, the caller process is suspended. This is the RPC model. And the next is transparency of RPC. So, in this, we have already discussed that to achieve transparency in a distributed system is somewhat typical because it should not distinguish between the local and the remote procedures. In a similar manner, a transparent RPC mechanism is the one in which the local procedures and remote procedures are not distinguishable. Distinguishable means it is not known to the programmers. Means the programmer should not identify whether this procedure is a local procedure or remote procedure. So transparency means that one. So one of the major issue in the design of RPC facility is its a transparency property. Means whenever a programmer call a procedure, it should not show any difference in time or in execution. It is a local procedure or a remote procedure. So this type of transparency we need to achieve, and it requires the two types of transparencies, that is syntactic transparency and semantic transparency. See, syntactic transparency means whatever syntax we are using to call a remote procedure should have exactly the same syntax as a local procedure call. Means we should follow the same syntax for local procedure call and also for the remote procedure call. So whenever we have the same syntax for both the local and remote procedures, there is no distinction between them. If we have some difference in the syntax, then we can easily identify that this procedure is not in this location. So syntactic transparency means we should have the same syntax for both the remote procedure call and local procedure call, so that the programmer will not identify whether the procedure is local or remote. And the next transparency is semantic transparency. Means all the semantics of a remote procedure call should also be identical to the local procedure call. So by these two, we can achieve the transparency in RPC. But some of the differences will be there between the remote procedure calls and local procedure calls. So those are local procedure calls and the remote procedure calls. The called procedure is executed in an address space which is different from the calling program's address space. So this is the reason that the called procedure cannot have access to any variables in the calling program's environment. Means whenever we have a remote procedure, we cannot have an access to the variables or data values in the remote program's environment, that is calling program's environment. If we have that procedure locally, we will have all the access to variables and data values. This difference will be there. So thus in the absence of shared memory, we cannot say that pass the address in the arguments. We can think of it as by making call by reference pointers. All these cases are not encourageable. And the second difference is remote procedure calls are more vulnerable means we can easily attack. They are prone to attacks, are more vulnerable to failure than local procedure calls. Means failures can happen in RPC because they involve a network. When they are not in the same location, we need to connect to a remote computer via a network itself. So when there are two different computers, possibly there is a network. So it is vulnerable to some failures. So all the programs which are going to RPC must have the capability of, it should have the capability of handling errors. So they need to take care of the possibility errors or crashes in a network. So all these difficulties discussed above are not very difficult to achieve, but the semantics of RPC are similar to the local procedure calls. Here also the calling process is suspended until the called procedure returns. The caller can pass arguments to the called procedure. Called procedure can return the results, which we have discussed in the previous one. But here is the same semantics for remote procedure calls as for local procedure calls is somewhat difficult. And moreover, RPC can consume much more time. When the procedure is local, it will be executed in less time. When it is in remote, it takes much more time than local procedure calls. So, why? Because there is an involvement of communication network in RPC. When the communication network is there, then it takes much more time than the procedure which is locally executed. So applications using RPC must also have the capability to handle the long delays. Means some network congestion is there, traffic is more and congestion is occurred. In such a cases also it should have the capability to handle, means it should take care of these long delays. So because of these difficulties, some researchers feel that the RPC facility should should not be transparent, means should be non transparent. Means we can, they feel that they can avoid this syntax and semantic transparency. However, in conclusion, in most of the environments, total semantic transparency is not possible, but we can do the enough which is necessary to ensure that the distributed programmers feel that it is comfortable. That is remote transparency. And the next is implementing RPC mechanism. Up to now we have discussed what is meant by remote procedure call and RPC model, transparency of RPC. And the next topic is implementing RPC mechanism. To achieve the goal of semantic transparency which we have discussed earlier, the implementation of an RPC mechanism is based on the concept of stubs. Implementing means how we will achieve that RPC mechanism. Practically, how it is possible. So the concept of stubs is used in order to achieve the semantic transparency. So it provides a perfectly normal procedure call abstraction, and it conceals, it takes the programs of the interface to the underlying RPC system. So here we will have both the client and the server process, and a separate stub procedure. This is called as stubs. Stub procedure is associated with both the client side and server side. So the implementation will have 5 elements, that is also called as RPC components. They are the client, the client, the client stub, RPC runtime, server stub, the server. One thing is, in implementation of RPC mechanism, we will follow the concept of stubs. Both the client and server process will have a separate stub procedure. And the 5 main components are the client, client side stub, RPC runtime environment, server stub, and the server. So the interaction is like this. Already you have somewhat familiar with the RPC procedure in RPC model we have discussed in this lecture itself. So the interaction between the client stub and an instance means one example of RPC runtime. If we give 4 and 5, it is one instance, one instance of RPC runtime. It executes on client machine. See here, the client machine, the server machine. The client machine will give a call, remote procedure call. It packs the data, means it marshals the arguments, and then it gives to the send. This call packet will be received by the server machine. It unpacks the arguments and the particular procedure is called and executed. After executing, it returns the pack. So it again do marshalling. It sends to the client machine. So the result packet is again received by the client machine. So here marshalling is done. So unmarshalling, that is unpack, and it gives the result written back to the client. So all these steps will be taken care by the client stub in the client machine, and here it will be taken care by the server stub in the server machine. You can also see here the RPC runtime environment. Here also we have RPC runtime environment. So now individually what each component will do, we will see now. The client. Client is a user process and it initiates a remote procedure call. So to make a remote procedure call, the client makes a normal local call that invokes the corresponding procedure in the client stub. Normal call, it involves the client stub. So the client stub is only responsible for carrying out the 2 tasks. What are those 2 tasks? On receipt of a call request, means from here when it takes that call request, it packs a specification of the target procedure and the arguments into that message, and then asks the local RPC runtime environment runtime to send it to the server stub. As you can see here, it stub is asking to send to the server machine. Client stub will send to the RPC runtime after marshalling. So on receipt, it will pass it to a local RPC runtime. On receipt of result, this is the next step. On receipt of the result of the procedure execution, it unpacks the result and passes it to the client. This is the second task. On receipt means when the result is received, it unpacks and it gives to the client. So these are the two works for client stub: packing and asking the RPC runtime environment to send that pack to the server. And the second task is when it receives the result, it unpacks and gives back to the client. That is client stub. Client is one who initiates the remote procedure call. Client stub will take care of its call request, passing that arguments to runtime RPC, and taking the receipt of the result procedure execution. What RPC runtime will do, it handles the transmission of messages across the network. Means it should transfer from client to server machine. So that transmission will be taken care by the RPC runtime. It is also responsible for retransmission when there is a possibility of message loss. So in such a cases, retransmissions, it is also responsible for acknowledgements. Routing means routing the packets and in a network, and encryption. All these operations, all this is responsible by the RPC runtime. So RPC runtime on client machine will receive the call. From where it receives? It receives the call from the client stub and sends it to the server machine. So it receives that message containing the result. When it receives the result from the server machine, it passes to the client stub. Similarly, RPC runtime on the server machine will receive the message containing the result of procedure execution from the server stub, and it again sends to the client machine. So similarly, both the RPC runtime environment will receive and send. Here also send and receive. Both operations are similar, but they will be performed on client and the server machines. So the job of the server stub, here it is similar to the job of the client stub, but here it performs on receipt of the call request message from RPC runtime of the server. So that is local, and the server stub unpacks it and makes a normal call and executes the procedure in the server. Appropriate procedure means suitable, correct procedure in the server. So on receipt of that result, the procedure execution again, it will be received by the server stub, packs the result, and then it passes it to the local RPC runtime to send it to the client stub. We have discussed here packs and again sends to the client stub. And the last fifth component is server. What server will do? On receiving a call request from the server stub, the server executes the appropriate procedure and returns the result of the procedure execution to the server stub. So hope you all understood all these topics. If you have still any doubts, please mail me at gayatriciara2021@gmail.com. Thank you.